Hello everyone, this is Wasim from Edureka and I welcome you all to this live session. This is the session 1 of the Python ML series in which we will learn about machine learning with Python. So before we begin this session, let me get a quick confirmation if you guys can hear me or not. So if I'm audible to you guys, please type yes in the chat box. And now that I'm getting a lot of confirmation, let's begin the session, guys. So taking a look at the agenda for this session, I'm going to start with what exactly is machine learning. And moving further, I will discuss various types of machine learning. And to finally sum up this session, I will discuss why Python is the best bet for machine learning right now. Also, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to Edureka for more exciting tutorials and press the bell icon to get the latest updates on Edureka. And do check out Edureka's machine learning certification program. The link is given in the description box below. So without any further ado, let's begin our session, guys. So to understand machine learning, we must understand the need for machine learning first. So ever since the technical revolution, we have been generating an immeasurable amount of data. Now, everybody must be aware of this term that is being thrown at every instance of any achievement or anything. There is always data involved in it because data has become the new fuel. And as per research, we are generating around 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every single day. Now, it is also estimated that by 2025, 1.7 MB of data will be created every second for every person on Earth. So now considering we are more than 7 billion people on Earth, that's a lot of data. And with the availability of so much data, it is finally possible to build models, the machine learning models that can study and analyze complex data to find useful insights and also deliver pretty more accurate results. The top tier companies such as Amazon, and then there is streaming platforms like Netflix, they build such machine learning models by using tons of data in order to identify the profitable opportunities. For example, let's say for Netflix, they analyze the patterns into whatever you're watching on their platform, and then they build a recommendation system based on your interest and your activities. They are feeding you the similar data that you will be interested in and eventually watch. That is going to increase their profit margin, of course. And same goes for any e-commerce business as well. They quantify their revenue generation based on recommendations, which eventually helps their sales as well. And not even just trying to scale up the business, machine learning also helps in avoiding unwanted risk as well. So I'll just tell you quickly a few reasons why machine learning is so important right now. So first of all, since the data is generated in numbers, I mean due to the excessive production of data, we need a method that can be used to construct or structure and analyze and also draw in useful insights from that data. So this is exactly where machine learning comes in, and it uses data to solve problems and find solutions to the most complex task faced by any organization. And it can be any organization, government, or as simple as a simple small scale business owner who has a lot of data of their customer base, and he has structured that data, so you can use that for quantifying on or scaling up their business using machine learning models. Then machine learning improves decision making, guys. I'll tell you how. By making use of various algorithms that machine learning comes with, it can be used to make better business decisions. And for example, machine learning is used to forecast sales, predict downfalls of the stock market, and the stock market prediction, where you can just predict a stock price for a particular date. And although I would not suggest to do that because that requires immense amount of statistical knowledge and inferential statistics. So that is one thing that you should not directly go for when you're beginning with machine learning. And there are other things like identifying risk and anomalies in data, and then spam detection, etc. These are some domains where machine learning helps in improving decision making. Now machine learning can also help you uncover patterns and trends in data, guys. So machine learning will help you finding out hidden patterns and extracting key insight from data, and which is going to be the most essential part of machine learning, guys, because by building predictive models and using statistical techniques, machine learning actually allows you to dig beneath the surface and explore the data at a very minute scale. So understanding the data and extracting patterns manually will take days, guys. So let's say if I'm giving you a data and I want you to identify a pattern in that data, it will take you a lot of time. I mean, this is pretty obvious that it's going to take a lot of time. But with machine learning, you have all these algorithms that can compute, all these calculations in a second, and they can identify the distribution of data. And by doing that, you will be able to find patterns very easily. And last but not the least, machine learning actually solves a very complex problem in a matter of minutes. And from detecting genes linked to the deadly ALS disease to building self-driving cars even, machine learning can be used to solve most complex problems, guys. And if you really want to know how object detection in moving cars work, there is a session on object detection on our YouTube channel, guys. You can check that out, and if you want, I can give you the link in the description as well, or in the chat. All right, so now these are a few reasons why we need machine learning. So now let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly is machine learning, guys. So the term machine learning was first coined by Arthur Samuel in 1959, and looking back, that year was probably the most significant in terms of any technological advancement. So if you browse through the net and if you search on Google like what is machine learning, you'll get at least 100 different definitions, because there is no specific definition for machine learning yet. Everybody has their own perspective when it comes to machine learning, and the point here is there are a lot of definitions to learn from, but the point should come across where, I mean, the first formal definition was given by Tom M. Mitchell, who said a computer program is said to learn from experience E with respect to some class of task T and performance measure P if its performance at task in T as measured by P improves with experience E. Sounds quite complicated right now, so I'll just tell you in simple terms. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. Yes, artificial intelligence, you heard me, which provides machines the ability to learn automatically and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed to do so. Now, in the sense, it is the practice of getting machines to solve problems by gaining the ability to somewhat think. You must be worried about how a machine can think or make decisions, right? But if you feed a machine a good amount of data, which is also known as training the model or training the machine, it will learn how to interpret, process, and also analyze this data by using machine learning algorithms. And also it will lead to solving real world problems as well. So this is machine learning, guys. So you have a machine, you give it an ample amount of data, it learns on itself, analyzes the data, identifies pattern based on the algorithm that you have provided, and after that it evaluates itself. After the evaluation, we put it to a real world data and see if it works as efficiently as we programmed it to be. Now there are a few things that you must know about when working in machine learning. There are algorithms. So algorithm is basically going to be a machine learning algorithm, which is a set of rules and statistical techniques used to learn patterns from the data and draw significant information from them. So an algorithm is basically the logic behind a machine learning model. And an example of a machine learning model is linear regression algorithm. That's one algorithm that I'm just telling you. There are also a lot of algorithms that you can use for machine learning. And then we have another term, which is model. So when we say model, it is the main component of machine learning. It is the model that we train with the data using the machine learning algorithm, and the algorithm is going to map all the decisions that a model is supposed to take based on the given input in order to get the correct output. Then there is input variables, there is output variables, also known as dependent and independent data, and then we have the training data, the testing data. So these are a few terms that you must be familiar with when you're working in machine learning. Now let me just talk about the machine learning process as well, guys. The machine learning process involves building a model that can be used to find a solution for any problem statement. So when I say problem statement, it is the very first task that is given to you where you want to implement a model. So to understand the machine learning process, let's just assume that you have given a problem statement that needs to be solved using machine learning. So let's say you have a lot of data, or let's say you don't have that data yet. So you have a problem, you're gonna identify the problem and see how you can use that data. So for that, you have to gather the data. After that, you have to prepare that data, remove out all the redundancies, you clean it out, and after that you explore the data to find out trends. Then you make use of visualization, you do the feature engineering and feature sampling, and then after that you feed the model, build it, and if you do the evaluation, if it's up to the mark that you imagine or that is suitable for your problem statement to solve, you use it for your problem statement. And that is how you create any machine learning model. So that is the process that we actually use for machine learning, guys, and that is how it goes. Okay, tell me in the comments, guys, what you thought machine learning was when you first heard it and you had no idea what it actually was. Also, now let me just talk about a few machine learning types as well. So a machine can learn to solve a problem by following one of the three approaches, which is basically supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So let's talk about supervised learning first. So supervised learning is a technique in which we teach or train the machine using the data which is well labeled. So we have labeled data. Now to understand supervised learning, let's consider an example. So as kids, we all needed guidance to solve math problems, right? So whenever you wanted to solve a complex mathematical problem, there was an assistance needed from your teachers, or it could have been your guide as well. So our teachers helped us understand what exactly that problem was and how it was done. So similarly, you can think of supervised learning as a type of machine learning that involves a guide. So basically the labeled data set or the labeled data is going to be the teacher that will train the model to understand patterns in the data. And the labeled data set is nothing but the training data set, guys. We basically feed the machine the labeled data, and the goal is for the machine to identify and classify it into whatever we need it as. The training data set that is fed to the model is labeled. So we're basically telling the machine this is how the data looks and this is how you identify the data. And by doing that, you're just training the machine by using labeled data. So that is supervised learning, guys, and it is a well-defined training phase done with the help of labeled data. Then again, we have unsupervised learning, which involves training by using unlabeled data and allowing the model to act on that information without guidance. So one of the examples is generative adversarial networks, but that is way ahead of this topic, guys. It's a very advanced topic. I'm just telling you because it's a very nice thing to know about GANs, and if you have free time, you should research about it. And it's a very cool topic, or it's quite revolutionary in terms of machine learning. So think of unsupervised learning as a smart kid that learns without any guidance. All right. So in this type of machine learning, the model is not fed with the labeled data. Okay, I'll just tell you what it means. The model has no clue that whatever data that you're feeding it, they do not have any idea what that data actually is because they do not have labels. So it basically figures out patterns and the differences between the data, and it takes its own time and builds upon it using the algorithms. For example, let's say we have these images of Tom and Jerry that we want to train the model with. So it identifies the prominent features of Tom, such as the pointy ears, the biggest eyes, and etc., to understand that this image is of type 1. And similarly, it finds such features in Jerry that knows that this image is of type 2. Therefore, it classifies the images into two different classes without knowing who is what. So without the labels, it is able to classify the images or any data. So based on that, you can use it for classification problems, guys. Unsupervised learning is quite good for classification problems. And then we have reinforcement learning, guys, which is a part of machine learning where an agent is put in an environment and he learns to behave in this environment by performing certain tasks, actions, and observing the rewards which it gets from those actions. This type of machine learning is comparatively different. So imagine that you are dropped off at an isolated island. So what exactly would you do? First thing that you would do is panic, of course. But initially, what we all would, as the time passes, you will learn how to live on the island. And if you ask me how you do that, I don't know, but you will eventually learn how to live on that island because we have a survival instinct as human beings. But you will explore the environment, understand the climate condition if you can, and the type of food that grows there. And eventually you will also take into account the dangers of that particular island. The dangers of the island can include poisonous plants. There could be insects, animals as well. So this is exactly how reinforcement learning works, guys. It involves an agent, which is basically you stuck on that island. You are the agent that is put in an unknown environment, which is the island, where he must learn by observing and performing actions that results in rewards. And your reward as stuck on the island was maybe food, or surviving a day. That's a reward. First you observe, and then you learn, and then you perform some actions. So that is how reinforcement learning works, and it is mainly used in advanced machine learning areas such as self-driving cars and AlphaGo, etc. Now, to better understand the difference between supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning, there is a session on our YouTube channel, guys. You can head there and learn about it in detail. And last but not least, I want to talk about a few types of machine learning problems, guys. Okay, let's take a look at this image, guys. There are three main types of problems that can be solved in machine learning, guys. First is regression, then there is classification and clustering, guys. In this type of problem, the outcome, or when we talk about regression, the outcome is continuous quantity. So for example, if you want to predict the speed of a car given the distance, it is regression problem. Regression problems can be solved by using supervised learning algorithm like linear regression and other supervised learning algorithms. Then again, we have classification, guys. So in this type, the output is a categorical value. When I say categorical, it's either true or false, or high or low, which only has two values, like a Boolean. And classifying emails in two classes, let's say spam or non-spam. So this is how classification problem works, guys. And it can be solved by using machine learning classification algorithms. And these algorithms are support vector machines, naive Bayes, logistic regression, k-nearest neighbor, etc. And then we have clustering problems, guys. So this type of problem involves assigning the input into two or more clusters based on feature similarity. And for example, clustering viewers into similar groups based on their interests, their age, or geography can be seen as a clustering problem, guys. And this can be done by using unsupervised learning algorithms like k-means clustering. So we can just identify these problems like this, guys. So for regression, we need supervised learning. For classification, we need supervised learning. For clustering, we have to make sure there is unsupervised learning involved. For regression, the output is a continuous quantity. For classification, it's categorical. And for clustering, it assigns data points into clusters. Then we have, for regression, the main aim is to forecast, or we are using it to predict something. And for classification, we are using it to compute the category of the data. So we will have different categories. We just want to find out what the input belongs to. And then the main aim of clustering is to group similar items together or into clusters. And after that, one example of regression would be predicting stock market price. And for classification, an example would be classifying emails into spam or non-spam. Or for our example that we are going to use is predicting if somebody has survived on a ship or not in case of a wreckage. Clustering, for example, we can find all the transactions which are fraudulent in nature, because we can make a cluster of all the frauds transactions. Some of the algorithms that are used for these problems, for let's say regression, is linear regression. For classification, we have logistic regression, and for clustering, k-means. These are the common algorithms that are used for these problems. And now comes the part where I will tell you why we choose Python for machine learning, guys. So what exactly makes Python the best programming language for machine learning? There are various features of Python that actually tells you that it is the best bet for machine learning, but there are a few that stands out. So first of all is Python is simple and very consistent. Python offers you a very simple readable code that has comparatively lot less lines of data that you can use inside your program, which makes it very less complex. And whenever you're working on a bigger problem as well, you will be able to read the data, you will be able to debug it, because it's very easy to read. It's like writing code in simple English language. So that is why Python is quite the very first choice when it comes to machine learning. Then again, we have a lot of libraries and frameworks at our bay which we can use for machine learning easily to implement any machine learning task. For example, let's say if we want to analyze or explore the data, we have pandas library which gives us data frames. It can transform the data into different formats like a CSV format or any other JSON format. You can change it but by just one line of code. And then there is visualization libraries. For example, we have 𝐶born library and we have matplotlib, which helps us in descriptive statistics, guys. So we can look around and see or identify the patterns and then look at the features which will help us best identify the feature that will help our model. So that is how machine learning is actually getting benefited from Python. And then we have sklearn or scikit-learn library, which is also a very good thing, guys. It helps you in providing you of like a framework, you can say, or a very structure of machine learning where you fit the data, you can split the data, and then you can train the data easily. You can use fit and predict model to get the outputs as well. So that is how Python actually helps a lot. And then again, where for advanced machine learning, we have Keras, we have TensorFlow, and NumPy, of course, for high performance. Then we have scientific Python as well for making scientific computations. And I've already told you about pandas and 𝐶born. And of course, we have matplotlib as well. So these are the basic advantages of using Python over any other programming language, and that is why we use Python for machine learning as well. And also, since Python is open source, there is no worry to look for detailed answers and anything, and the community is so big. For each error that you come across as a beginner, if you find it on the community, you will find a very suitable and a very precise answer to the matter, where you can just there is a lot to do with Python when it comes to machine learning. And community and popularity is one thing. There's one more thing that stands out, which is the documentation part, guys. Every documentation written for every Python library or anything that Python has is such a world-class thing, guys. You don't have to even go to any tutorial or anywhere to learn Python. The documentation is pretty much the summation of everything that you need to learn. But some people find it difficult to understand from the documentation because it's not as interesting as somebody teaching you would look like. So anything that sails your boat, guys. And this actually brings us to the end of this session, guys. Let me give you an exercise, guys. So for this session, the exercise is take one example use case where you define it in three different versions. One version would be a supervised learning version, then for unsupervised, and for reinforcement learning. That will help you in identifying which problem is what. If you are new here, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Edureka for more exciting tutorials, and also press the bell icon to get the latest updates on Edureka. Do check out Edureka's machine learning certification program. The link is given in the description box below. And we will be talking about the statistics for machine learning in the next session. So don't miss it, guys. It's quite important to know about these statistic terms and jargon that we have in machine learning. Right? See you guys in the next session. Thank you.